I'm the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So, a warband of Night Lords has descended upon the Faerie Kingdom planet and laid waste to one of the castles and killed off a whole lot of the gnomes that resided there. And while they're enjoying their debauchery and whatnot, they're come upon by a group of drukhari who probably had the same idea but got there a little bit late. So instead of gnomes, I guess the drukhari can fight the Night Lords. Seems like it'll be a good plan. So the castle here, I've had it for a long time now, and I'm probably never actually gonna make it all grim dark because like the Faerie Kingdom part terrain set, I guess you could say that I have, it's kind of like the centerpiece core, so it needs to stay like childlike and kitty. Plus, it looks even funnier when like grim dark stuff is like crawling on it, or when there's fighting going on in there. It takes me back to the little kid days. Although I have been meaning to get to a thrift store and buy other play sets so that I could have more things. I bought a military terrain playset thing off of Temu recently. Probably start fixing those up later and start using those for Imperial Guard terrains. So, yay, remaking stuff. Alright, so there's plenty of evidence of nomicide laying on the grounds, in the castle, wherever. The Night Lords will occupy the castle and the grounds up to 12 inches from the back. And then this area here, I need to get terrain mats or something. But the green dice is the back end. 12 inches forward from that is where the drukhari will start out. Alright, so here we have today's Night Lords warband for this experience, led by a Chaos Lord. There's a Thunder Hammer and a Plasma Pistol. There's also a Master of Executions. 5 Warp Talons that will be hanging out in the Warp Talon Lounge elsewhere. 2 10-man groups of Legionnaires. This one has a chainsword and a plasma pistol, and then he has an autocannon and a plasma gun in his grouping, along with 2 bolter guns, and then 5 dudes with a bolt pistol chainsword. Pretty much the same thing over here. He's got a chain axe and a plasma pistol, 2 heavy bolters, 2 bolters, and then 5 bolt pistol chainsword. 2 obliterators. They'll be hanging out in the Warp Talon Lounge. And then a Hellbrute with a heavy flamer on his Hellbrute fist and the twin las gun. Twin las cannon. Twin length las cannon? Either way, today's Night Lords. Alright, here's today's drukhari experience. These guys are the Cabal of the Obsidian Rose, which gives their heavy, rapid fire, and assault weapons plus 6 inch range. That'll be nice. Led by this Archon, who has a Husk Blade and a Splinter Pistol. 3 groups of 10 Kabbalite Warriors. This one, the Sybarite, has a Power Sword and a Splinter Pistol. And then the 9 guys behind him all have splinter rifles, splinter carbines. Sybarite in the middle group has an Agonizer and a blast pistol. Then there are 7 of the splinter rifles and a shredder and a blaster. This guy also has a blast pistol and a power sword, a shredder, a blaster, a dark lance, and then 5, 6. Man, my math is terrible and I'm looking right at it. 6 guys with the splinter rifles. 2 groups of 5 incubi. 2 groups of 5 scourges. The Solarites both have blast pistols and agonizers, and then the Scourges themselves all have shard carbines. 2 Venoms, 2 Raiders. The unpainted Coblites will be riding around in the Raiders. The Archon will be in one of the Venoms, and the painted Incubi will be riding around in the painted Venom. Alright, so there's your drukhari team for the day. I'm voting these guys are going to win. Alright, I'm going to set this up. We're going to start drukhari first, and this is going to be a really, really awesome time. Hells yeah. Alright, so the 2 Venoms and the ground-bound Incubi with the ground-bound Coblites, and then the 2 Raiders on the end. Alright, so for the Night Lords, the 2 Heavy Bolters squad is over here on this far side. The Chaos Lord kind of not hiding but hanging out there between the outhouse and the tree. Master of Execution is on the left there, Halbert in the middle, and the other squad of Space Marines on the right. Alright, everybody that's in the teleportarium is in their teleportariums, and the drukhari get to go first. So, movement. Alright, so these Incubi, these Coblites, and the Unpainted Venom all advanced. The Unpainted Venom is going over here by where the Raiders just moved forward, taking the Archon to help out. And this Venom also just moved forward. Alright, well, I always generally complain at least once during a drukhari video about them not having psychers. I know why they don't. It doesn't mean that I like it any less. I still think drukhari should have psychers. I mean, yeah, maybe I'll have an argument rant video about that someday, but either way, that'll make it the Dark Eldar shooting phase. Alright, so both of the Raiders shot at the Hellbrute, doing a point of damage. And all of the Coblite warriors in the Raiders shot at the Master of Executions and killed him. That was awesome. Alright, so nobody's close enough to charge, so that'll take it over to the Night Lord's turn. Man, I can't believe they already killed the Master of Executions. That was crazy. Alright, let's see how they do with that loss. I was kind of hoping it was really kind of dependent that guy was going to do some real good, decent damage, but not now. Still rooting for drukhari, but man, that's a blow. Alright, so yeah, enough of my meandering. Movement. Alright, here on the left side, the Hellbrute and the squad of Legionnaires just moved on up. Over here on the right side, the Chaos Lord and the other squad of Legionnaires have also moved up. One of the Obliterators has popped in on this tower, and the other Obliterator popped in at this tower. Alright, well, no psychers for the Night Lords this game, so shooting. I do enjoy me some Night Lord shooting. Alright, so the heavy bolters out of this squad, along with this Obliterator, got this Venom down to 2 health. And then the higher up Obliterator and the Hellbrute got this Raider down to 1. So, yeah, that was super happy in my opinion. Super successful. Nobody's close enough to charge those, so it goes back to the drukhari turn for movement. Alright, the Raiders are not moving. The Venom is just moved over to be in between them. And these Coblites have advanced over to get closer to the combat. The Incubi on the ground advanced around this little gate thing. and the really wounded Venom moved up here a lot closer to the Legionnaires. Alright, so drukhari shooting phase. Alright, it took both Raiders and the Venom, but they managed to kill off the Halberd. And Chaos Dice must be feeling kind of guilty about that because none of the Cobalite Warriors or this other Venom were able to kill or even wound any of the Legionnaires. Well, I mean, this Venom's close enough to charge, but I'm not entirely sure I want to. I just want to drop the Incubi and then go away. Gonna have to deal with them charging into it either, yeah. Sigh. Alright, I'm not gonna charge with it. That's probably a bad decision, but I'll let the Night Lords go and do their turn for movement. Alright, so these Legionnaires have just moved up their 5 to get closer to the drukhari over here. Obliterators are just going to stick for their towers. These Legionnaires have just moved up a lot. Well, no. They moved up their 5, as did the Chaos Lord. And the Warp Talons came in behind the Incubi. Alright, so shooting phase for the Night Lords. Alright, so the autocannon and plasma gun out of this grouping managed to blow up the Raider, and the explosion killed off one of the Cobalites. And then this Obliterator killed 7 of these guys. Which is super interesting because this Obliterator killed 7 of these guys. 9th edition Obliterators just knock the crap out of things. The heavy bolters over here managed to kill off 2 of the Incubi. So that was nice. Alright, so for charging, the Chaos Lord is going to charge into the Venom. And these Warp Talons are going to charge into the Incubi. And that should be it for charging. So everybody made their charges. Nobody suffered any Overwatch. I play Inquisitor Martyr on the Xbox, Series S or whatever it is. And the Warp Talons in that game, when they charge you, they move with this like etherealness where it leaves part of the... It's like a ghosting kind of thing. I don't know, it's hard to explain. If you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. But when I move these guys on the tabletop, I kind of see that same image in my head. The Warp Talons very successfully murdered off all of the 3 remaining Incubi in this grouping. Chaos Lord very easily destroying the Venom. I forgot to remove one of these guys. One of these guys did die in the explosion. And at the end of the morale phase, these 2 unpainted drukhari and these guys. These guys all failed their morale. Alright. Well, that does make it the drukhari's turn, though, so there's a bit of happiness there somewhere. So, movement. Alright, well, nothing actually moved for the drukhari this turn. The Venom and the Raider are just hanging out. These Incubi are probably going to charge into the Chaos Lord. And both groups of Scourges came in behind the Warp Talons. So that'll take us to drukhari shooting. Alright, so between both groups of Scourges, they managed to do 1 point of damage to 1 single Warp Talon. The Venom and the Raider themselves shot at the Obliterator and failed to wound. And then the Cobalites and the Raider killed off 1 of the Legionnaires back there. Alright, so charging the Incubi over here. We're going to charge into the Chaos Lord. Okay, so the Incubi made their charge. Didn't die from the plasma pistol. They did a couple points of damage to the Chaos Lord, and the Chaos Lord killed 2 of them. Okay. That'll take us back to the Night Lord's turn. I'm not saying it because I sound sad, but things are kind of looking grim for both sides now. Still think it could go either way, but still rooting for the drukhari. Alright, the Obliterators are probably never going to leave these turrets. These guys have just started moving forward toward the Scourges. Chaos Lord is going to remain in combat. These Legionnaires have also started moving forward towards the Scourges. And the Warp Talons got really, really close to these Scourges. Alright, so Night Lord shooting. Alright, so the combined efforts of the Bolt Pistols and the Chaos Lord's Plasma Pistol, they managed to kill off the Klaviks. Both Obliterators did a decent amount of damage to the Venom, got it down to 3. And yeah, the Legionnaires didn't do much of anything. So that'll take us to the charge phase. Via these Warp Talons into the Unpainted Scourges. Alright, so the Warp Talons suffered no damage in Overwatch. They made their charge. They completely eviscerated the Scourges. Warp Talons are just so brutal in 9th. I hope they're brutal in 10th because they deserve to be, because Warp Talons are just freaking awesome, but... Alright, that'll make it to drukhari turn. Looking at the board now, none of the drukhari are going to move. They're just going to stay where they are and shoot at things. So, we'll just do some drukhari shooting then. Alright, so the Scourges managed to kill off the wounded Warp Talon. The Venom and all of the Cobalites in the Raider killed off some of the Legionnaires here. And the Raider itself got this Obliterator down to 1. I feel like they're shooting good right now, and that's really unfortunate considering they're about to die soon. Alright, so yeah, the drukhari are not going to charge. None of these guys really have any good melee, so that takes it back to the Night Lords. Alright, so the Warp Talons have gotten a lot closer to the Scourges. And then this squad of Legionnaires and the Chaos Lord have advanced forward over towards where the Raider and Venom are. The Obliterator is going to stay in the castle, and these guys are just going to stay here. Alright, so Night Lord shooting. Alright, so this Obliterator completely destroyed the Venom. The Archon made it out okay though. And this Obliterator did 6 damage to this Raider, putting it real low. So charge phase, it's gonna be the Warp Talons into the Scourges. So once again, the Warp Talons made it, suffered no damage in Overwatch, and pretty much ate alive the Scourges. The Warp Talons are pretty much the MVP in this game. They killed off the Incubi that were over here. They killed off both sets of Scourges. Warp Talons really are brutal beasts. Alright, well, that'll make a drukhari turn. Once again, they're not going to move, but they're quite happy to shoot. Alright, so the Cobalites inside the Raider managed to kill off 2 of these Legionnaires. Failed to do anything else, though. Sad day. Not, yeah, too far away to charge anyway, and, yeah. That makes it the Night Lord's turn. Alright, so the forces are starting to converge over here. The Warp Talons just flew over here for their regular move. These guys are just hanging out. The Chaos Lord and the full squad Advance the movement side, so and the obliterators and their turret thing, never moving and all that. So that'll take us to the shooting phase. Might actually kill off the drukhari this phase. I don't know. I'd have to do the math, but I mean it's possible. Alright, so this squad actually got the raider down to 1. And then this obliterator killed it. None of the Kabbalites that were in it were killed in their escape. So this obliterator killed 7 of the Kabbalites. I've pre-rolled morale. Those last 3 guys, they're gonna run. Which is either fortunate or unfortunate. That takes us to the charge phase. And these warp talons are for sure gonna charge into that Archon. Alright, the warp talons made their charge. They definitely killed the Archon. And then the remaining Kabbalites ran away. So that makes this a Night Lord's victory. Well, I mean, it's been a long time since I did drukhari Night Lords, so this was a fun game. I do enjoy the nostalgia of something that was, a year ago. Sad face. I really was hoping drukhari were going to win. But, I mean, there was a lot of Kabbalites, and they had that extra 6-inch range, which really did help, actually, in the end. In a lot of ways. Extending their rapid fire that far and their half distance was nice. But in the end, yeah, I mean, between the obliterators and the warp talons, and the warp talons really did some good work this game. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Yeah, this was a fun game. I always enjoy games with the castle in it. Nobody made it inside the castle to have a fight in the castle, but I think I've managed to do that 1 or 2 times. Either way, thanks and have a good day.